This is the third tutorial in a list of tutorials to build a water management model using GoldSim. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use a lookup table to determine the water elevation in a reservoir given its current volume that is changing through time. So to get this information, we need to go to our spreadsheet file that we've been using to store the information that we're using in the model. Before I do that, I'm just going to create a blank lookup table in GoldSim using the lookup table element found up here in the input category of our icons. We'll go here to lookup table and add the lookup table here, and I will call this elevation volume table. And it's just a way to reference elevations that correspond to incremental volumes in the reservoir. The resulting unit will be megaliters, and the lookup that we'll be doing on it will be in meters. And the data itself looks like this. So here's the table, and I actually have area in there as well. We'll be adding that table later in order to calculate evaporation in a future tutorial, but for now all we need are the column A and column C. So for now I'll just copy to the clipboard the independent column data of depth. So copy that, go back into the model and click on the edit data button here. Note this is just a one-dimensional table that we'll be using. And I'll paste the data in, and the next step is to paste the resulting column. So I'm going back over to Excel, doing another copy, coming back into GoldSim and hit paste, and now all the data is there. That's meters to megaliters. Now with that in there, now what we should be able to do is a simple lookup using an expression element. So I'll add another expression element here just to do a test. I'll do a very basic lookup on this. So I want to do a lookup that will return megaliters based on doing a lookup on the table. So to do a lookup on a lookup table, simply give the name and then parentheses and put in the argument, which is the independent variable of depth. Let's just say I want to see what the elevation 1750.65 meters produces in megaliters, and that's 17,779. We can look at the table. Oops, I need to close this. 1750.65 is the number we need to remember. If I go in here, 1750, so that's going to be in between these two rows. So we should expect it to return a value that's probably around getting close to maybe 12,000, somewhere in there. So if we look at what the value ends up being, it's 11,800. So that does seem to be the correct answer. All right, so now what we want to do, instead of providing the model with initial, minimum, and maximum volume amounts, we're going to provide these inputs as elevations. If you look back at the Excel file, see we have this operating rules table here, and it shows us the initial, minimum. It says spillway, but we'll just call that maximum elevation for now. So it's called operating rules because we want the model to be able to control the water level to ensure that we never drop below 1750, and that we also never rise above 1753. So the reservoir will be operated within the bounds of these two elevations here. So I just need to change my data elements in the model to match these values and then operate it accordingly. So we'll go back into GoldSim, and we will now change these data elements to be in units of meters, and then also change the way that they're being used in the reservoir itself. Before we continue, let's go ahead and save this as tutorial number 3. Tutorial 3. Okay, let's start with the initial. So instead of V in it, I'm just going to use a name that makes more sense. I'll call it WL for water level. and I'll say initial water level, like that. And we'll change this to meters, units of meters, and the initial water level is going to be 1751. 1751, and you see that Goldsum already recognizes this as units of meters because I've set the display unit there. Now you know that when we do this, currently the reservoir is expecting us to use a volume amount, and so you can see already that there is a red input here. It says this is in dimensions of length, but we need it to be in length cubed. And this is because it is expecting a volume input. So we need to make the conversion between a depth to a volume, and we do that using our lookup table. So now all we have to do is we can keep the name there, but I'm just going to delete it for now so I can rewrite the expression in here, which is going to be referring to the elevation volume table. And then we're going to refer to the depth here. Close that, and you see that the connections are now remade in the model. So I'm going to do the same thing for these other two elements here. So V min will then now change to water level min, minimum allowed water level, and that's meters. And the minimum is 1750. 1750. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing to V max. WL max, maximum allowed water level, meters, and this one is 1753. 1753. Okay, now you see that the connections are not working because, again, we need to convert the level to a volume using the lookup table that we just created. WL min, in parentheses, elevation volume table, WL max, in parentheses. Okay, so now everything's hooked up correctly. We're operating the reservoir based on these water levels instead of volumes. And now what we can do is we can provide another output that shows us the current water level through time. To do that, we're going to do a reverse lookup using another expression. So let's just create another expression here. Put it right here in the middle, and we'll call this depth. Current water depth in the reservoir. This is units of meters again. And now what we want to do is, again, we'll revert to the lookup table, but we're going to do a reverse lookup because we want to give it the argument of the volume and return the opposite, right, the depth. So we're going to do what's called an inverse lookup on this table. So again, we'll refer to the table, and then we'll go ahead and refer to the reservoir, which is the volume of the water in the reservoir, right? It's the main output of that. And then we're going to say, let's put in a secondary optional parameter in here, which is it's a constant that is available. We can either just type it in or we can look it up if we don't remember it. To look it up, you go right click in here and select constants and then table constants. These are all built in, and essentially it just allows us to pick what kind of lookup we're going to do. The default is nothing, but if we want to do a different kind of lookup, we can select one of these. For now, we'll just pick this, TVL inverse, and in parentheses, and now it does a reverse lookup and finds the resulting water depth based on that volume. I'm going to click OK. Now you can see that our influence lines are kind of going back around and back and forth and stuff. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to move this influence line so you can see it going up there, around that, so it's not so confusing. So now we see that the lookup table is being used to calculate what the volumes are for these inputs, and then also we're going back over here and also using the lookup table to calculate the resulting depth. Now what I want to do is I want to change the time history results element here so that it looks at the depth instead of the volume. So that's what I want to show on the plot instead of the volume here. So I'm just going to double click on this output called reservoir and change it to refer to the depth. And now what you'll see is that the Y2 axis, instead of being in megaliters, it is now in meters, which is the display unit of that output. So we're going to compare the flows to the water levels. And now we also should change the label here from reservoir volume to reservoir level, like that. And now when we run the model, look at the chart, what we see here is that on the Y2 axis, it says reservoir level. That's what's showing here in blue. These over here are the flow rate. And by the way, we should change the Y axis to be more generic. Right now, it's just looking at the first output item. So I'm going to change that name manually by going up here to chart style, and then coming over here to Y axis, and I'm just going to change this first keyword for the label to be a hard-coded value of flow rate. Now I apply it. See, it says flow rate and then units. Units is based on the keyword, and that comes from the display unit we've set up in the properties for this chart. So that liters per second is coming from the properties. If I go up here to properties, it's coming from this display unit right here. So the nice thing is you can change that globally and then never have to worry about changing it in the label for the axes. Okay, so we have successfully set up the model to work off of water levels instead of volumes, and this completes tutorial 3.